Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we're rambling about the Jouranalogue Fold 6. It is a 4 HP wave folder for a Eurorack. Normally I say it sounds like this and we jump right into a jam. Today with something like a wave folder, I think the best way to demonstrate it is to send it a simple waveform. We'll go through some sweeps, talk about what's going on there, and then we'll go from there. So let's take our sine output from the Banshee Reach. Is a analog VCO, basic waveform, not a lot of harmonics. Basically the classic use of a wave folder is to take simple wave shapes from VCO, make them to something more complex, more harmonically rich with the use of the wave folder. Will we be using filters afterwards? I think I will, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's take that sine wave, send it to the input. Now there's two different types of outputs. There is the main and alt output. For some reason they're labeled that way. Main is series and alt is parallel. But when you use the main output, you're running it in series, which ends up being a little more harmonic, which also means harsher at the top end, whereas parallel, where all of them are running separately, side by side, it's a little more mellow. But I think generally the main output, the series way, will more demonstrate where this thing is going. So we'll talk about the controls in a sec, but basically you get two inputs. You can run multiple waveforms in. We're going to start with just a sine wave for simplicity. You get the shape input, which is, again, I think these labelings are a little weird, but this is sort of like an overdrive VCA. This entire module is limited to 10 volts. When you're running insane amounts of distortion like you are in a wave folder like this, absolutely cranked, it will add a soft limiter to keep you in range, which also means some nice square waves, sort of PWM options, if you will, under a lot of wave folding. So I'm going to start with the shape all the way down, and both the fold and the shaper can kind of act like VCAs. So we'll start with the shape all the way down, bring in some folding. And again, the shape will add overall volume. And because it's soft clips, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But because it's soft clips, I want to point that out, that different harmonics will happen in different places. So there's a lot of depth to such a small module, right? I just point that out. To maintain some of the sine waviness of it, I guess, I'm going to take the shape and use it sort of like an attenuator to preserve some of it without hitting that squaring off. But my understanding, the basic principle of a wave folder, when you're hitting where you would otherwise clip, it's going to fold over. So if you watch now, we have it hitting that top range there and folding over instead. I'll increase the pitch a little bit just so my oscilloscope can kind of be in phase with it, I guess. But we're going to fold it more. And I'm just going to sweep this. And because this relationship between the shape amplitude and the fold is really important, it's hard to talk about them independently. Because when we're folding it like crazy, and we start to bring up the shape, our harmonics get more and more square, right? And notice, at least this is where my head's at, the places when the folder is moving, where you get this harmonic shift, is really where I like to be. So for that reason, I'm just going to throw a LFO at the fold input. And there's something to that. I don't know if it's just because I'm such a fan of wavetable scanning that I love hearing something similar but analog, but like that is the killer, I don't know, feature, I guess, about wave folders for me. So I believe this fold knob is like an offset when you're sending it CV, or maybe it's just a starting point. I'll turn it all the way down. It does respond to negative voltage, as you're hearing right now, because even when I crank it up to the middle, it is going all the way down. I'm not setting any offset or anything, but if I bring up the shape now, you're going to hear again more of that square wave territory. As soon as it comes in, it's getting squared off, right? I don't know, I feel like when I was trying to find videos on this, all I wanted to hear was a sweep of this fold knob. So I won't get too hung up on that, but watch. What is a wave folder? What does the Fold 6 sound like? It's this. Sine wave, a little bit of square, folding over, Batman way in the past, folding more and more. Shape can square that off at the top end. Amplitude increases, we get a whole wackitude of squares. Or square-looking harmonics, I guess. Fold all the way up, shape all the way up. And then we'll talk about symmetry. Yes. So symmetry, I'm thinking my experience with the AJH V-shape is one that there was an episode on in the past, but symmetry can do sort of like wave offset, so I'll do less folding so it's a little more apparent. But our sine wave can sort of cycle. And it can sort of create like PWM, chorusy sounding stuff in Eurorack if I come in here. And I think my only complaint with the Fold 6 is that you get CV control over the shape, but not the symmetry. I really would rather modulate this for some PWM action rather than, you know, this, not so much. This is kind of set and forget in my mind, but we'll turn down the shape and we'll listen to that alt output, which for simplicity of this video, I wish that was just labeled as parallel, but you'll hear it's a little duller, but it is unique. Let me bring my symmetry up to the middle. Waveform is totally different. Shape seems to respond a little more, I think. Right? Seems to be making more of a difference. Look at that crazy waveform. Symmetry over. Listen to that. Listen. Sorry. But this is where I'm like, oh, I just wish I could modulate that. Listen to that. It sounds marvelous. And I want to sweep that in my patch, but I can't. So, fold. We'll sweep that instead. And crazy harmonic. I keep using the adjective of hairy for oscillator sounds that I like, but if you have a better one, let me know. There's just that. Symmetry. Oh, see, like total PWM right there. You hear that? I love that about it. That's what happens if we throw some other waveforms at it. We have, I don't know, let's go saw. I don't know. Saw might not do too much for us here, but we'll throw that into the second input. Becomes this crazy wave shape. You see little harmonics that it's created in the middle, right? I'll stop modulating the fold input. But right, I'm seeing like wavetable type things, right? When you're cranking the shape in this way, those harmonics are getting way brought up, right? Sine wave stuff too. Symmetry, you can, again, basically just make it into a pulse with some unique harmonics. Oh, I really wish you could modulate that. Sorry. Maybe it's going to bother me more than I thought when I started this video, but you can do the shape. Let's throw two different waveforms at it, though. What if we do input on one? We'll switch back over to the main output. Input one is that saw. Pitch it down a little bit. And then, no, input one is, so we'll go sine, input one, saw, input two. Negates the need for external mixing on the way in. That's symmetry mod. Yes. But again, I want CV over that. I want to hit that with an LFO real bad. I mean, it sounds amazing. Like, this is a great sounding wave folder. When I was looking at different wave folding options on Mod Wiggler, basically everybody was pointing to the Fold 6, and I kind of understand why. Now, if we do our own little feedback loop, can I take one output and run it into the second? Yep. Ooh. And we just blasted down to square wave, but... No, that... I'm hearing on the Fold processor, there's some of this, like, jumping of harmonics. I don't know, it's just like going beyond what it can do when it's fed back, but it reminds me of that. You can't throw anything at a wave folder. So let's try and reverse this actually before I move on. What happens if I take the alt, which is less harmonic? No, alt into input 2, and then we'll listen to the main output. Give us more headroom, I guess. more straightforward wavefolding, I think. What if we send saw? Variable. Very shape upward from the Banshee Reach. So I'm just scanning through different waveforms on the way in. Sine. Bring that fold down a little bit. Triangle. Saw. I think it's pulse at the end. Yep. Suboctave. Yeah. Yeah, great sounding wavefolder. I don't know what else there is to it. If you want to mix this as well, I don't know. Let's take our saw output so we can have a little bit of different harmonics coming on in here. Main output. So you're listening to that. I'm going to take that though and we'll run it into our mixer so we can blend a bunch of different sounds for fun. Do-do-do. And we'll run that into our mixer. So here's just our wavefolded one. Then there's a basic saw wave. And then maybe we'll run that into our low-pass gate because I am thinking West Coast synthesis when I hear wavefolders. So in goes the low-pass gate, and we'll start to build our end jam, I think. I'll take the gate from this one and send that into our excite input. And we'll go from there. Excite input coming in now. And then I need to send it a sequence for on the floor. Pitch my oscillator down. So there's the folded only. Yeah. Send a sequence to my oscillator next. That'll be some of the last steps. CV into pitch. Sounds like a video game. That sounds off. Hold on, let me quantize this for simplicity. Maybe we'll even generate. Why not? Yeah. Mix in that saw wave. And maybe we'll take that envelope that we're generating and use that to ping the wavefolder, which is one of the things I love to do. Yeah, listen to that. Sorry, I'm covering my oscilloscope, but so that's just the wavefolder. Slow it down a little bit. This is pretty busy. Yeah. When I was new to synthesis, they kind of talked about filters and wavefolders as being mutually exclusive. Like filters were East Coast, wavefolders were West Coast, but I don't know. Maybe the beef is over with the use of low-pass gates. You can make something really harmonically rich. You can make something really harmonically rich and then bring it in with a little bit of low-pass. Maybe I'll saturate it a little bit on both sides. Yeah, when you really get that sweep going, that's what I really like. Yeah. Alright, I'm Tafony. What's your favorite wavefolder? I've been on the hunt for them for so long, all the different options, and I think this has the reputation it does for a reason. at least it's recommended so much on Mod Wiggler for a reason. It just sounds good. It's really small, it's compact. Like I said, I wish that CV input was there, but let me know what you think. What's your favorite wave folder? What's better than this one? I'm not trying to fish for engagement. I genuinely am always on the hunt. So, hey, I'm Tafony. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.